Okay, you're playing in the qualifying game for the high school soccer championship. There are 2 minutes left on the clock, and you're losing 1-0. Your coach tells you to use a little bit more roughness than you usually do. What do?
Let's see. That's kind of a hard one because, I love soccer. I love to win. But you know what? I'm not really into that whole unnecessary roughness thing. I love to, win fair and square.
Right.
But I guess what it comes down to is it wouldn't be a real victory if I cheated.
That is true.
But how about you? Okay, you're on a track team, and you find out that the rest of the girls are using steroids. What do?
Well, I'm definitely not going to use drugs. I mean, I'm going to win because God created my body a certain way, and I'm going to work up to the potential to be able to win fair and square without cheating or using drugs.
That's true.
So.
Christian values sometimes come into conflict with sports depending on, what sports philosophy you live by. For example, the most important thing to do is win.
Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah.
So.
Hi, I'm Adriana.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Real Faith TV. Now, winning is the most important thing, of course. Then decisions will be made to ensure that you actually win. And sometimes that means that morality is thrown out the window. Totally.
Cheating, using steroids, unnecessary roughness, they're all just considered justified in this, this philosophy of just having to win. But this is not the road Jesus asks us to follow.
Not at all. And sports and Christian values, they also go together. Well, I think they do. That's what we're going to be talking about today on Real Faith TV.
We will meet Jay, a high school athlete who resists the temptation to cheat or play unfairly in sports. We will also get the opinions of some teens on this topic.
First, let's see what our studio guests think about this topic.
Sounds good. Joining us today, Sarah, Mike, Joe, and Kate.
Now, some positive values that are reflected in sports are, I think, teamwork, discipline, focused attention. Like, you have to be focused to know what your goal is, and really strong perseverance. That's what I think.
Right, and also the ability to learn from your mistakes, respecting one's body by nourishing and resting it every once in a while. You got to do that properly.
Have any of you, being on an athletic team, has that helped you develop to the person you are today? Has it taught you anything? Or?
Yeah, I think it's really taught me a lot about how to work with other people, because a lot of times I would just try to be independent.
Right.
Yeah, so now I try to be a little bit more dependent on my friends on the team and then let them do their job when they're in their position, and then when the ball comes to me, I'll take it or I'll pass it to them, or, I can just depend on them a little bit more, and it's not all about me.
Also to be at practice and certain things like that, so you know what you're doing and you don't let them down. How about anyone else?
Well, I think a perfect example of the way sports positively influence your character is Lance Armstrong. I mean, he survives cancer, he learns all about perseverance, and then he goes on to win the Tour de France 3 times. And then, with his closest competitor behind him on the race, he falls down, possibly hurts himself falling down a cliff on his bike. Lance stops his bike to wait for him to get back up to make sure he's okay. And the rest of the people also doing the race, also, because they respect Lance Armstrong so much, stop. And that just shows great, compassion for your opponent, and that it's not all about winning, it's also about, just, companionship, and it's real important to a sport.
Right, and, right after that, the next day, do you remember when actually Lance Armstrong and the same guy were in the lead, but Lance was a little behind, they're getting to the finish line, the guy pulls Lance Armstrong across the finish line as a show of thanks to what he did.
It just shows great compassion.
It was great, it was great. Let's see what some other teens, think about whether a Christian who plays soccer has a responsibility to live these values on the playing field.
If you're like a really, really strict Christian, then that's going to be present in everything you do.
Before every track meet, I give a handshake to the person next to me, wish them good luck, and that usually helps. If you lose, it doesn't really hurt that bad.
Well, I play sports. I'm on a state team, and it's definitely in your attitude, like how you... It's hard for me to go to church and to balance sports at the same time because it's Sundays, and that's when we play tournaments.
Which values do you think come in conflict with sports most often?
Fights between, or like amongst the players.
certain plays that happen.
Yeah, I think so. I think it just makes for a better game, good ethics. It'll just make the whole game go a lot smoother if everybody's, playing on the same team, playing by the same rules.
Okay. And what are some of the sports or events that might conflict with Christian values?
Probably, I would say football or rugby, something like that, where, it's kind of more reward if you punish your player more.
Do you think a Christian who plays sports has a responsibility to live a Christian life on the playing field?
Well, I think if a person really believes in their Christian values, then it'll automatically come out on the field anyway. They won't be pressured to do things that aren't Christian if they really believe strongly in it.
Now, what are some of the ways that sports conflict with Christian values?
Well, I've never really been in a situation where my morals were challenged on a field, but I guess a lot of times, using bad language and, getting too aggressive could be.
Being a Catholic, it's not only a Sunday-only thing, It's a way of life, whether we're on the field or not. In the privacy of our room or a student council leader, we're called to make all our actions reflect our belief in Jesus and his good news.
That is so true. Now, many young people do feel that athletes should remember that they are role models. People really do look up to them. And they're also a powerful witness to the philosophy that they live by. You have to practice with what you actually preach. Can you name any athlete who you think is a good role model? I mean, you said
Lance Armstrong?
Lance Armstrong, yeah.
Well,
Anyone else?
The football captain at my school, Grand Irons, he's a real great guy. I live 2 doors down from him. He's known as the nicest guy on campus. He actually ran a Bible study for a few weeks in my dorm. He's a really focused guy, real nice guy, and it's wrong to assume that athletes are always mean or stuff. You could really see that Christian values show, especially in guys like Grand Irons.
Mm-hmm.
I personally like Mia Hamm and the entire women's soccer team. I mean, it's a bunch of women that pushed their way to the top, and now look how popular they made it, and look how many girls they've influenced to play this game and become active and reach for their goals. I think that's amazing that they could do that.
Definitely, making a change, and role models like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Really make a difference.
Vanessa talked with Jay, a high school athlete who, he's a role model in his own right. Let's find out what he thinks about cheating and playing unfairly.
Yeah, of course, I've been tempted to do something that isn't necessarily Christian-like in a game. I played football for a while, and there's only a couple refs on the field, and there's a whole bunch more kids, and a lot of kids get away with a lot, and it isn't that hard, so the temptation's there. I do know kids. One time in track, we're running the 400, which is running lanes. He was on my outside, and during the back stretch where the referee isn't, he cut into the first lane, stayed in the first lane for the second turn, so he actually ran shorter than the 400 meters, and really took advantage of there being only one ref and the ref being on the other side of the field. We were all annoyed, but I mean, not much you can do about it. You get over it. I try to dedicate each race or each event or whatnot to some cause regarding my faith, and during my race, if I keep that thought in mind, it's like an extra incentive to work hard, because a lot of athletics, your body goes through pain, to put it quite simply, and you need something there to keep on driving you through it, and having something faith related to dedicate it to kind of makes you work harder.
I know exactly what he's talking about, paint. I take ballet and I dance and everything, and with point shoes. I consider dance a sport, because it's basically, I consider sport anything that you have to really work your body to build up to be the best that you can actually be. And those point shoes hurt so much, and and to actually know that you get better from that, and it's really rewarding, and it makes you feel really good. Have any of you ever been tempted to do something unchristian in order to win the game or anything? It's totally on a different note, but Have you ever?
Well, I have. I'll admit it. I never have done anything, but I have. It just doesn't seem fair that you work so hard to try to win, and then you go play a game, and these people are spitting at you, and they're kicking you, and they're playing unfairly, and it just seems like you should retaliate and do something. But if you really play well, then you know that you and your team doesn't need to do that cheating stuff because you've worked for it, and you'll win at the end. You'll pull through.
When I was younger, I was running a race, a 400-meter race, and I was tripped. I would have beaten this kid, and the kid tripped me, and I lost the race. And it just made me feel really lousy. If the kid beat me, the kid beats me. But like when you get tripped by somebody and then the person beats you, it just makes you really angry. And like because of that,
Because you've worked
I'll
hard.
never do anything like that again because I know how that feels.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that in track. I've seen one of my friends, Chris Cowell, trying to break a record at my school, and the other group of track people, the other team, they boxed him out during the entire thing, so he couldn't pass them till the very end, and they had no chance of keeping up with him. But because of that, he failed to break the record on that meet. Luckily, he came back and did it later, but I was real upset by that. And people do things like that, it hurts the sport a lot, and I just think it's important to stick with your beliefs when you're on the field too.
You know what else that people do? Not just like the cheating and all, but their actions on the field. I remember I was playing a soccer game once, and we were winning, and the other team was getting upset. So one of the kids ran by my bench, and he spit at my coach. And it's like, you know what?
Why?
I know. What kind
so
of
ridiculous.
life are you living if you're going to go spit at the other team's coach and stuff?
Keep your attitude in the game.
Exactly.
Get psyched, play hard, but that's unnecessary.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? Jay also talked to Vanessa about how his faith plays a part in his athletic participation. Let's see what he said about this.
I think it's important to put your faith into any aspect, whether it be school, or home life or social life, and especially athletics. Personally, before now all I do is track, and before every race, I shake everyone's hand and wish them good luck. I'll talk to the kids or talk to the other guys before the race and see how they're feeling, see how they're doing. See how their season's going, and then after the race, I congratulate them, win, lose, or draw. I mean, you're all out there to do your best, and if you do your best, then it doesn't matter how you place. On the way to and from events, take advantage of the bus ride, kind of chill your nerves or whatever. You can say a rosary. I did a couple times, and it really helps. Actually, I've been quite lucky. I've never been made fun of because of my outward faith. It's almost like it kind of demands being a captain of the track team for the past 2 years. It's been a great chance for me to kind of be an example for the younger kids on the team, and they take advantage of it. So no, I've been quite lucky in that perspective. I've had great coaching staff, throughout my high school career in a variety of sports. My football coach actually sat all the football players down and said prayers before every game. All of my track coaches encouraged my behavior. I won a coach's award for wishing everyone good luck before the race one year, and no, they really encourage, whether they don't call it Christian behavior, but that's what they're encouraging.
Do you think a Christian who plays sports has a responsibility to live up to these values on the playing field?
Yeah, I think so. Because if you're a Christian who plays sports, you have to think about how you're not going to cheat, even though it gets really tempting. Because a lot of other teams really don't think about Christian values or anything. And so I play field hockey, so people from the other teams, they'll try to trip you and hit you with the stick, and they'll hit the ball at your feet. They get vicious sometimes. And what you really have to do is try to control your anger and just really focus on playing in the game. And remember your Christian values, and remember that you shouldn't cheat, and what they're doing is wrong, but you need to be better than them.
Not lower yourself to their level.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, absolutely. You got to stick to your ideals even if you're on the playing field. It doesn't matter where you are. If you don't stick to your ideals at all time, you don't have ideals at all. You have to keep your morality with you all the time, no matter what's happening.
Right, now you guys, Kate, you mentioned values and you mentioned ideals. Now, what are some of these values and ideals that come in conflict with the sports?
A lot of times, like, when you're playing a sport, you want to win.
Right.
I know, like, when I played high school tennis, you know, we don't have the referee sitting up on the high little chair saying what's out, what's in. It's kind of on the honor code. You know, you trust that your opponent's going to make the right calls. And a lot of times you'll get a guy who won't make the right calls. And a lot of times you'll be tempted, you know, say, that was out, when you might think it was really on the line, you know, because you want to win. And you got to be truthful.
And then at the end of the day, you'll feel good about yourself because you know whether or not.
Yeah, I would rather lose truthfully than win knowing that I really didn't.
And that's the same thing for when you're playing a sport. You're playing it because you love it for your own dignity, not to cheat or anything. You want to win because you actually win as a person, not because you cheated.
Yeah, you know, it's also a good reminder for us, you know, no matter how much you accomplish, to be humble. Because you're never, you know, there's always things you could do better. And it also reminds you that, you know, even though you're the best, you should still be humble about it because, you know, you should still, it keeps you
grounded.
Know, being a good sportsman, yeah.
Yeah.
It keeps you grounded. You know, so you're not, like, obnoxious and feel like you're better than everyone else.
Yeah,
Exactly.
at school, and like when I went to college, I'm not sure the number. I think it's like 90% of my class, it's about 2,000 kids, played varsity sports in high school. So they were, you know, the top of everything at school.
Yeah.
And, you know, now they're at college and they're not even on a team now. It's kind of weird. But, like, you know, we feel good about ourselves. We know what we could do and can't do. You know, be happy.
Exactly. I mean, God's blessed us with certain gifts. You just have to live them out, right?
True. So, you guys have?
I think that you can be competitive and still have Christian values, just as long as you don't let your competition leave the field. Because I know on my high school field hockey team, there's a really big rivalry between my school and another one. And so one girl from my team scored this winning goal. And, you know, it was really good for our team because we won and we felt really good about ourselves and whatever. But this other team, one girl from the other team, stood outside our locker room and hit the girl in the knee with her stick. And if you've ever been hit with a field hockey stick, it hurts a lot. And it blew out her knee and she couldn't play for a really long time. And it was all over a little competition. And I think that was really wrong, that she lost these values just because she was so competitive. And I think that you can be competitive, you just have to keep your competition on the field. And after the game is over, whether you win or lose, just forget about it because it was only a game.
Violence is not the answer.
Well, right. Well, going right along with that comment, you know, you see all these sports teams and everything. They're playing, and all of a sudden, someone will come up and kick someone real hard on purpose. You know, like say you're playing soccer, okay, and you know you're going in for a shot at goal, and the goalkeeper's coming out.
And you're all happy. You're like,
yeah, you're like,
I'm gonna
okay,
make it.
it's me and the goalie, one-on-one. You know, we're going all the way. And you leave the ball there and you kick the goalie, you know, on purpose, just so you can get the goal. You know, you're taking him out of the game, and it's not right, you know. And this whole violence thing, and
Not
be
at all.
careful.
Hurts the game, too.
Yeah.
It does.
Not even. It hurts the whole team because that player's out for the rest of the season, maybe.
And it makes the game worse, too. It makes
Exactly.
it a lot less enjoyable to play when people are doing stuff like that.
Because then you got to think, oh, you know, okay, well, this guy's doing this, then I got to do this so I can get back at him, and then so on and so forth.
Yeah, and, you know, then that's the part of the game that sticks out in the mind. You know, you could have a good, close, competitive game. and
No, it gives
that'll
them a bad
ruin it.
reputation or.
It also ruins the player's reputation.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I used to admire this Olympic swimmer, and I loved her because she had asthma and I have asthma, and I used to swim, and she was amazing. She won gold medals and everything. But then they showed a segment on her, and she had the worst attitude. If she'd lose, she'd spit in the other person's lane. She'd just blatantly spit in their lane, and she wouldn't shake their hands. She'd just get out of the pool and leave, and she'd run off and say, well, I'm better than them, and I think she's on steroids, and that's the only reason she could ever beat me. And that just totally, I don't have any respect for her.
Such a bad disposition. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
You know, people think that just because someone else beats them, that something else has to be going on. You know,
It's like an excuse.
Yeah, everyone thinks that they're the best. You know, granted, there are people that are real good, and that, you know, but there's always someone out there that's better. You know, I mean, there's someone out there that's played longer, that's practiced more, that's more experienced, and you know, you can't go in and out of a competition thinking that you know, oh, you know, they beat me because they're on steroids.
Oh yeah, there must have been a reason.
Yeah, you know, it's just things like
Plain and
that.
simple. They beat you.
Yeah.
Try to win again next time.
Practice harder.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. You know, in a country which focuses so much on professional sports as an industry and high school, college sports as entertainment, we should also think about the effect the sports writers have on our society.
The Devils will put them away. The Yankees pound the Orioles. These writers use language that focus on killing the opponent. Not good. Or at least brutalizing them. We need to ask ourselves, as a society, whether the language that is used increases the violence in team sports. Never really thought about that.
You know, I don't think it's that horrible, you know, being competitive. I mean, like, I like heckling, you know, other teams when they come to our stadium. And I like hearing them heckle us. You know, it's fun. You know, it adds, like, a certain flavor to this, you know, to the crowd. You know, part of a sport is not just the game going on the field, it's in the stands. You know, you're cheering, it's a lot of fun. But like we were saying before, when it leaves the field, when, you know, you start saying bad things, it's no good.
Yeah, it should be left right there.
You know, in Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, he used sports as a great metaphor for our lives. Do you not know that in a race, the runners all compete, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may win it.
Every athlete has a goal, and you have to really stay focused on it. You know, they're willingly to sacrifice and exercise and practice to achieve the goal. We're all called to live a spiritual life and in the same disciplined way, with our eyes fixed on heaven as our goal as well.
Do you think that Christian values belong in sports? We want to know. Please contact us through our website.
Post your thoughts on our message boards or drop us an email. Our website address is www.realfaithtv.com.
You know, if you're not connected to the internet, you can always call us at 609-406-7402.
Now, until next time, remember that God has gifted many of us with outstanding athletic abilities. But the greatest gift He's given us all is the gift of love. Let's share that in every aspect of our lives, including sports.
God bless you. We'll see you next time
on Real Faith TV.